Curtis and I are going to talk a little about what all we did with the Tri-County Grain Improvement Series this year. Back, I guess it was about this time last year, we got together and decided that we should combine forces. We could probably get a lot more done that way. And so we started brainstorming ideas, what we wanted to accomplish, and we came up with this Tri-County Grain Improvement Series. The whole purpose of it is we wanted to provide you all the detailed research that was applicable here. And nothing against our specialists, they're wonderful, they do a great job. But I know I've heard a lot of, and well, all three of us have heard a lot of our producers that were wanting like variety trials that were done on our sulfites here. So that was one reason that we got into this. And another two, grain sorghum is starting to make a comeback as well. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. And there hasn't been anything done on grain sorghum in Kentucky since 2002. Lloyd Murdoch did some fertility studies a long time ago. And then we also want to document our research or results based on scientific protocol. So in order to answer basic and fundamental production questions, I know we had Cary come up and met with us one day as well. We want to make sure we were doing everything the proper way. So with our corn, the project scope is we focused mainly on hybrids this year. And then with the grain sorghum, we did a fungicide trial as well as different fertility rates or nitrogen rate trials. I know it's kind of a little difficult to see, but you all have the results in front of you, and I know that's what you want. So starting out, this was our outline. We've got another slide that talks more about kind of the setup, but we had 20 some odd hybrids for early,
and then
24 for late, and then every 4 rows we had a check. Originally what we had planned on was to do a plot on marginal ground and on productive ground in each county. And within each plot, have an early plot and a late plot. And our cutoff date, I think, was 1/13 for our early and late varieties. And our very first plot was actually in McLean County on the Cary, and we did early varieties and late varieties, and like 8 hours later decided no more early and late in the same field. That made for a very long day. And so then we kind of shifted gears a little bit. And so each sulfite then had either early or late and not both. So this was our layout. Like I said, we had a check every 4 rows. So we had a check, 4 varieties, check, 4 varieties, check, and so on.
Yeah, as far as the grain sorghum research was concerned, not a lot of information here recently about what can be applied to the farms here locally, both on fungicide. We know a few of the, farmer dealers or seed dealers in the area had tried fungicide, and we knew that it had worked, but we wanted to replicate that in all the counties to make sure that that's what we were actually seeing. And that's what we saw this year, even with some delayed timing. I'll point that out a little bit later. We wanted to do the most effective use of the fungicide and the most efficient rate for nitrogen also. Now this, when you'll see in the data there, I tried to just provide you with the bar graphs to show you the differences. If you want the specific data, I can give that to you. But really what we looked at, we planted at the population of and the row width chosen by the producer or the cooperator. We wanted to put it on your terms, that way you wouldn't have to change anything, make it simple and straightforward. As far as selecting the fungicides, we found it to be prudent to use what the producer was using. I know, Jonathan, in your case, we used your mix there. We wanted to combine the control, or see the difference between the control and the trial, and we'll get into that a little bit later. And we wanted to at least replicate it 3 times, and we did that at every site. As far as nitrogen rates, these are the rates we looked at, 100, 150, 175, and we used 125 units as a check for us. What's interesting is some of these plots, we didn't get to do the nitrogen in Hopkins County because it blew down on us pretty bad. We were excited about that because that was liquid, and the rest of the trials ran hybrids. And so we did see some differences there. You'll see that in the data. All of it was, on the anhydrous side, was pre-planting. Now, on the liquid side, which we don't have the data for, because it was skewed there, it was planted side dress or put down side dress. We did scout the grain sorghum a lot this year because we had the sugarcane aphid come through. About every plot we had the sugarcane aphid. Seen a lot of that this year. There was some that was sprayed in Webster County, but I don't think they really gained any significant response from that.
The plot was not, the research plot was not sprayed.
No, but the producer's field were, how many acres y'all had sprayed over there? A lot.
It's like 1,500 acres.
Yeah. For the sugarcane aphid, and I mean, it was out there, but it hit late enough that we didn't see a negative response to the yields. All in all, the yields this year were fantastic in grain sorghum, 140 plus. And you'll see that on the data there. We just used producer's combine. We just tried to highlight all that here for you. We had a field day back in the summer too. Vicki, you want to talk about the field day?
Yeah, we hosted the field day in Webster County, and it was on Darrell Mountain over in Auten. And we had a really good turnout for the field day. We was very pleased with the turnout, and we had several specialists there. And we gave a survey there because we wanted to know what you all wanted and where you all wanted us to go with this, because this is something that, like Cary said, is kind of making a comeback. And you know, we really committed our time and resources to keep doing this project, and so we really wanted your input. And so we did a survey that day for you all. That was the meal ticket. So if you all were there, you may remember having these meal tickets. You had to fill out a survey, and then you could get your say. And I think that's what you're leading into, right, Curtis? Is what we.
As far as the questions we asked as far as the basics of grain sorghum. The orange bar tells us that people learned something when they came to the meeting. You can see we had a big increase compared to those that didn't really learn much or maybe had experience with grain sorghum in the past. Weed control, resistant weeds, and we had that at the site. We actually had some fall management problems with all the rain we had. He didn't have the grain sorghum planted early, which Darrell does. He had just one little spot in the field. He had some weed pressure there, and that really helped us highlight the fact that you can't go back over with Roundup later with grain sorghum. It's not as easy as it is with corn. And you got to do a good job initially on the weed control. And that was one of the things a lot of the producers liked at the field day, was to highlight that you need to get your ducks in a row before you get the grain sorghum planted. Soil fertility too. A lot of the producers we talked to around here, 180, 200 units of nitrogen. You can get away with a lot less on grain sorghum and still make 140, 150. And you'll see that in the data provided in the packet there. Insect issues. This was a year for the sugarcane aphid. I think we already started talking about it at the field day. It really gets caught on after that. We had a lot of questions on that. And then we talked about UAVs and how you could scout it. You know now that's changed a lot since June. You got to register those things if you have one, and there'll be a fine associated with it if you don't register it. We need to register it. We got a 333 exemption. So the government's on those. We could see we were able to find sugarcane aphids in the field just by flying over it. You can look for the honeydews on the leaves, and we don't have anything fancy. Ours are about 1,200, which in the ground with UAVs, that's pretty cheap. They get up to $15,000, $20,000. But we were able to find the sugarcane aphids fairly easy, like I said. So Vicki's interns, she can file all the data for us. Really made it a lot easier. Wanted to give her credit too. As far as the research summaries on the corn hybrids are concerned, you can see the different colors. They denote hybrids that did really well on multiple plots. You'll see, I'll let you go through that. If you have any questions, contact us. But one thing we did learn, I'd like to allude to what I think Cary had said before, or not, that population is something to look at. And the reason why we say that is this year we had mixed up that our planter wasn't set at the right population. We put down 26,000 across every plot. We were like, man, we've made a big mistake here. It's not going to reflect it. A lot of the plots went over 230 bushels with 26,000 on all the soil types. So that proved to us by fluke. Didn't intend to do that, but it proved that populations necessarily just because you plant more doesn't mean it's going to make it. Now, we compared it to the fields around us that had a 30,000 and 32,000 population, and we made better than they did. situation that really raised our eyebrows. I might get to say we added this next year to kind of piggyback on the stuff that you're doing, Cary, but that really caught my eyebrows. It's definitely a place where you can save some money, especially if you're planting with good hybrids that can tolerate, maybe flex a little bit and take advantage of that situation. But that's something we want to look into more. I don't think you can claim all this information we're getting you this year. We intend to do it in 5 years. So we intend to cooperate with you all a little more. Going on, just looking at some more of the summaries here. What we did see though, as far as Southern Rust, there were a couple of varieties from Stewart, and not the big favorites or anything, but we were actually in the combines in Tompkins County, and there was one corn that was totally green. Planted the same day. We don't know if it was just a fluke in the environment where we were at, but it had no disease whatsoever, no fungicide applied. But we walked these fields, we didn't just plant them illegal. We went back and looked at them a lot. And the Stewart really stood out there. And you can see that from the yield too. As far as grain sorghum fungicide responses, here they are. You'll have the full graph with the data also. As you can see, the treatments were significantly higher. And the data is provided for you in there. A lot of people like to see a good picture, so we put that in there for you. McLean County, we just had a check and a non-check on that field, and we had some lodging issues in that grain sorghum also. Didn't see a big yield response there in comparison to the Webster County, and the Webster County was actually applied later than what the label said. So that was something for us to
We kept trying to get in there, but it was wet, and we could not get in, and it was pushing really late before we could get in, but we finally got it on, but it was late.
Mm-hmm. Then the Hopkins County fungicide, we learned a little bit. We were trying to find the right pass, I think, on that one. But you can see a significant difference there too in the passes that we did check. If you compare the two together, 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4. Nitrogen summary here, real quick. You can see Webster County. We were using the 100. These are the averages here for the replications that we did. 100 units, 125, 150, 175, 150 for us at that site looked to be the most optimal at 100, and I think it was 149 bushel average on that. So take note of that. You're going to put down 200 units of nitrogen to make good grain sorghum. A lot of that too is combined with the fungicide. Now these trials here had all fungicide applied to them. Our only variable factor here was the rate of nitrogen that we used. You can see that changes a little bit. Now one thing we're going to add to this as we complete these studies in the future is the cost of nitrogen and what the producer's saving at 100 while making less compared to the 150 and 175 units of nitrogen.
On that McLean County one, there was 40 additional units put on the whole thing because after the nitrogen was applied, it flooded several times. So then the producer came back later and put on 40 additional units. So whether or not you want to add that 40 or not, because it feels like there was quite a bit of loss because of how much flooding took place on that field. But he had seen, like I said, he put 40 additional units across the entire field. So you might want to pencil that in on your paper.
So I guess that wraps us up on our presentation here on the research. Like I said, we look forward to doing it in the future. If you're interested in having one of these plots on your farm, we'll come out and plant it for you, especially on the corn side of things. So we'll be blessed to get a planter and stuff like that to help us out. We're struggling along, we'll get there. If there's a topic that you want to look into, we're not opposed to that. That's one reason why we want to work together. We can cover a lot more ground. We got excellent support from the specialists here too. They can't be everywhere, so we try to maybe just do a little bit of the projects they like us to do, just make headway here in the county. Hope that information helps you on your decisions. I know a lot of you pre-ordered already, but if you got a few acres, you want to try something new. That's the intention of these corn plots. I get a lot of questions. What do you think we ought to try? I don't want to make a pick, and when I'm supposed to, the data will let you decide that. I will say the one company we didn't have is DCAT. That'll be included this year. They just didn't get any seed in time to get it put into the program. Any questions on the protocol, how we've done it, or anything like that?
Looking ahead to this year, like Curtis said, we're going to continue the studies that we did in 2015, but we're also adding for soybeans, we're doing a group 3 variety trial, and then also going to try to include variety trials for grain sorghum as well for this upcoming year. So
Last time we had a variety trial on grain sorghum 2005, 2006. There's new varieties now, some that had better bird on them, so hopefully we can try those that time.
And like Curtis said, if any of you guys are willing to help out and participate in this and want to be a cooperator, please let me know. Had excellent cooperators this year, and I know, I think 2 of them for sure have said they would love to do it again. So I think you're not going to third, but anybody else wants to, I'm looking for more marginal soil types as well. So that's you. Give me a holler. Any questions? Okay, before I let y'all go, I've got the corn variety trials for you guys, and also those of you all that have beef, tomorrow night at 5 o'clock, we have a beef producers meeting. I know that, I think the original newsletter that went out said maybe 6 o'clock, but we had to move it up an hour to 5 to accommodate our speakers, so it'll be at 5 o'clock, and dinner will be provided, all that good stuff, and then Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock, we have pesticide. So if you guys need that card renewed, I'll see y'all at 8 o'clock Wednesday morning. For free, yeah, fighting the class. Technically 2 hours, but over here it's not really 2 hours. But thank you guys very much for coming. Appreciate y'all being here. We have variety trial.
Thank you.